One of the core jobs of a software developer is finding defects and fixing them. Finding defects, isn't that the job of QA? Therefore, does that mean we no longer need QA in software development firms? Let's think about that. There are loads of reasons that QA are extremely important for any software development team. But here's kind of the winning reason. QA aren't part of the software development process, so they can see the work with a new pair of eyes. So when they're running through, say, a front-end flow, they don't have the same expectations, they don't have the same infrastructure that a software developer might have built around their work to make it work. They just have, say, the development backend and expect to see the app work in a certain way. Same for backend QA. They're not tied into this infrastructure. So it's this idea of seeing with a fresh pair of eyes. This means that QA are more than just finding bugs, finding defects, and communicating that to developers. They can do so much more. I think that's a winning argument for having QA within any particular software development team. So there's an argument that developers can QA their own work because they're closer to the code. They know how it works, so they are best placed to test their work and make sure their code is shippable at any point and provides that experience to the end user. Only software developers can really do that because within an agile framework, say, the whole application may not be finished at any given time. We may accept that a minimum viable product doesn't work perfectly in every circumstance, for instance. There's an argument that the developer is best placed to find those bugs, fix them, and ship them quickly because they understand all of the things, all of the infrastructure that's going around the code. So this is about a group of people who are not operations, not developers, and not QA, but take some of the work of all three to make code better in some sense. So let's have a look. From operations, they can do things like deploy virtual servers and applications, and monitor the application and the health of the application. There's also some traditional work of QA that a DevOps team might take on. They might automate testing, and they might test some of the functionality before release. But I think there's more of a focus on the automation of testing, because that requires some understanding of the code and melds this idea of QA and software developers. Now, this isn't to say that some organizations expect software developers to test their own code entirely. This happens, but it doesn't have that degree of separation we were talking about before. So to tackle the issue, one possible solution is to think about DevOps, combining three different disciplines into one, but in such a way that they also have separation from operations, software development, and QA. It's a very interesting concept. There's a link in the description to an article I've written about this if you want a little bit more detail. So, the two arguments are kind of against each other. You need to be far away enough from the work to be able to find defects effectively, but you also need to be close to the work to find defects. It's very tricky, and QA is a very tricky job in itself. So there's this argument that what if you could have a separate team of software developers that act as QA, so have the advantages of QA and the advantages of software developer. Let's have a look. So it's really worth thinking about. QA offer more value than just finding defects. However, putting that responsibility onto software developers can have its own benefits. So is QA required? It depends. It depends on the environment you work in, the project, the size of the team, a whole host of factors. But I hope this video has given you something to think about, and hope you enjoyed watching it. So maybe see you next time? Anyway, thank you.